Okay, we are live now. Um, so good evening, everyone. Welcome to the October 21st, 2025 special virtual operations management budget and government accountability committee meeting. I am Councilman Amilcar Hernandez, and I am chair of this committee. This meeting is broadcasting live on HPA-TV's Xfinity Government Channel 96 and Frontier Government Channel 6032. It will also be streamed via hpa-tv.org, the HPA-TV Facebook page, and HPA-TV Apple TV, Amazon TV, and Roku TV apps. It will also be made available on the HPA-TV YouTube channel. I would like to acknowledge everyone present here today. So with us, we have Councilman Alex Thomas, who's a voting member of this committee, and we also have Corp Counsel Jonathan Harding. And then I will be introducing, the rest of you as we go through the agenda. So we have we have three items on the agenda. We have our first item is item 2.1 is Mayor Arolampalan with accompanying resolution making various end of year budgetary transfers for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2025, as well as one additional appropriation to address Board of Education budgetary challenges. So with us tonight, we have Julian Fran, Leanne Rolls, and we also have from Board of Education our CFO, Kaylin Richard. So Julian, the floor is yours, so you can kind of introduce this resolution, and then you can introduce Leanne and Kaylin at the appropriate time. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Hernandez. Good afternoon, and good afternoon to other members of the council. So for some context, we do have a summary of the FY25 budget pre-audit. May I share screen?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Do you have the ability to do so? I think so. Right?
I will see.
There you go.
Should be seeing something momentarily.
Yeah, we see it.
All right, perfect. And so what we have on the screen is our FY25, preliminary results. And what you'll see here is that we are currently projecting favorable budgetary variance of about $24.6 million. And this consists of favorability of about $22.3 million on the revenue side. And that's driven by, in large part, by property taxes. That makes up more than half of that favorability. And we also had favorable revenue results in our interest income and permitting revenues. And we also collected additional pilot payments from some of our sources there. On the expenditure side, we are seeing overall favorability of about $2.3 million. And this is driven primarily by vacancy savings in the departments and savings in the non-operating portion of the budget. And our favorability in those areas is offset by the overages in education, fire department, and benefits. And those are the subject of this resolution. So a large portion of the favorability that we're projecting, so out of that $24.6 million, a large part of that is going to be offset by the use of assigned fund balance in FY25. And so in FY25, there were three uses of assigned fund balance from the June 30th, 2024 fund balance. There was $11.5 million for the Neighborhood Community Investment Fund. And that was the fund that the mayor set up for investment in the commercial corridors. It was $5 million for the youth fund for youth-related investments. And then there was $7.3 million set aside to offset ongoing tax appeals. So that's the $23.8 million you see here of revisions. And that is the use of assigned fund balance. So taking that into consideration as well, what we're projecting is an end of year increase to the total fund balance of about $870,000. The resolution this evening is for the purpose of addressing the overages in the fire department benefits and education. And so there's $1.2 million for fire department overtime. And you'll recall from the budget hearings that vacancies have been a significant driver of the overtime in the fire department. There is an additional $520,000 to cover the projected overage and benefits. And that's the aggregate overage of all the items within the benefits section of the budget. That includes overages and health claims and retirement payouts. And I just want to note that this resolution was prepared several weeks ago. And so as the numbers have been finalized in the weeks since then, we're seeing that the overage and benefits is really closer to this roughly 360,000 that you see here. And then lastly, the resolution increases funding for education benefits to offset the projected overage in education. And you also remember from the budget adoption discussions, the Board of Ed discussed the budgetary pressures that they're experiencing in special education, transportation, other tuition expenses. And again, the resolution, it was prepared several weeks ago when at that point in time, our worst case scenario was an anticipated overage of up to 12.6 million. At this time, as the numbers are settling, we're projecting the final gap to close to be around this 8.6 million. And so that's a summary of the resolution and what it's addressing. And we have, as you noted, we have City CFO Rawls, the Board of Ed CFO Richard, and myself here to answer any questions.
Thank you. I'll definitely let my colleagues, ask questions, but I do want to start with this premise. I know that actually before we go into questions, I'll like for CFO Richard to at least just answer this one question in very summary, brief. You don't have to do the whole presentation, but just briefly. Can you speak to? Well, first of all, this is a question actually for you. Is there any possibility that that number would grow based on expectations of some reimbursement from some reimbursement that you're waiting for from what was it, OPEB? There are some reimbursement that I know that are still waiting to be approved. Is that still a risk that this number may grow by $1, $2, $3 million based on those reimbursements? That's the first question. And the second question would be more of, can you briefly tell us, I mean, we understand that it's special education, transportation, tuition expenses, but, looking forward, what are the mitigation strategies that you are thinking of implementing, to mitigate this, in the future, for next year, if nothing changes, right? Let's just assume that nothing changes, that you still get the same amount of revenue, same number of students. If everything stays the same, status quo, what will be the plan to mitigate and to help and support, to mitigate this deficit? Just very briefly.
Yes, and thank you. Good evening, everyone. Good to be here. So to answer the first question, we are waiting for a final OPEB reimbursement that ideally will happen at the 10/31 meeting, but this number is the worst case scenario. So that number won't get any worse. So yeah, that's the worst case scenario. It won't get any worse. We are just waiting to see what the final OPEB reimbursement is. So it could actually be slightly better than this. So that's the worst case scenario. To answer your question kind of on mitigation, yes, like you named, the drivers are fixed costs, so transportation, tuition, et cetera, which unfortunately are some of the hardest costs to predict. What we were able to do a bit in this last year was to spend down all of our grant dollars in any possible way that we could to mitigate some of that, and to mitigate on the end of our non-salary expenses that we have some control over. So things like contracts, supplies, etc. We had underspend in those areas. So that's the piece related to FY25. Moving forward, to what you named, there was a big budget mitigation that happened this year to the tune of $30 million, related to decreased expenses and increased revenue. And we budgeted higher for some of these exact categories, such as transportation and tuition, in anticipation of this dynamic and that those have been rising over time. And what we've done is implement a better process for monitoring the budget. And so we're looking almost weekly at this point at our budget and projected spend at the end of the year. like I mentioned, some pieces are more unpredictable, or we're going to have to wait longer to get a better sense for things related to tuition and transportation. But what we are monitoring already this year are things like our enrollment and vacancies. And so I will name that's been the fix so far, is to budget more appropriately for some of those fixed expenses, and then to have a better process for budget monitoring. I will name we're seeing some trends. We do have declined enrollment from last year, and we actually, in good news, have more vacancy fill rates, but it is something we're monitoring budget-wise. So it's really about that process of understanding those trends so we have a better sense ahead of time. And then all of that, so all of this information from last year, what we know now, will inform the budget process coming up for FY27, which we're about to start now.
Okay. Thank you. Now, with that, kind of, I know, Caitlin, you may have to go to the Board of Ed meeting. Is that correct?
That is correct, but I'm happy to answer any questions you
Yeah,
have,
I just
and then
want
I
to
will
open
make.
up. I want to open up the floor. If any of my colleagues have any questions specifically to BOE before we move on to questions for Julian and Leanne about the finances of the city, please, by all means, the floor is open. I see that. Oh, by the way, let me actually also acknowledge Assistant Majority Leader TJ Clark that also joined us, and I think that he does want to say something. So, Assistant Majority Leader, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. Good evening, everyone. This message, I'm sorry. Uh, this comment is for CFO Richard. Um, and I understand with the mitigation process, but with this step and then preparing for the next fiscal year, with the projected budget, I was told about $30 million. And correct me if I have that estimate wrong. What other ways are we preparing to fill in that budget shortfall so that we won't find ourselves in this situation again for allocating additional money?
Yep, so we're in the preliminary phases of the budget process for FY27. Around 30 million or so is the current projection, but we're still finalizing that piece. The areas in which we're looking within our own budget, there is a process happening right now related to exploring school closures and consolidations and what, the potential savings could be there, with an emphasis on student experience and, offerings for students and the community in that process. We are also looking at things like our staffing plan. So that's about half of our budget is the resources at school sites, and so understanding our staffing formulas, which things like enrollment decline do mean we end up allocating fewer staff just based on those types of formulas, but any adjustments we can make there. And contracts is another place that we're looking as a potential area. And in general, as mentioned, special education, it's a third of our budget right now, and we're looking to see how we can be more strategic. For example, in the services that we provide, especially trying to keep more students within the district. So there is some funding next year in FY27 in the governor's budget related to pilot programs for special education. So we're looking into seeing if we can start our own programming in-house to serve students with some of that startup fund to keep more students in the district and prevent as much as we can of the tuition dollars that are going outside. So I'd say those are the main categories we're looking at in terms of being more strategic on our end and generating reductions. I will also say something that our board is really committed to is structural change at the state level. So have started initial conversations at the state level related to the current funding system, how essentially we're receiving revenue for all Hartford resident students. We're then paying tuition and transportation. And at this point, that's driving most of the budget gap is the students who don't attend HPS. So kind of a two-pronged approach of looking at everything we can possibly do within our locus of control and keep students in the district, and then also working on structural change at the state level because that's contributing to a lot of this recurring structural deficit.
Gotcha. Thank you for the explanation. I know you have to go. Two quick follow-up questions. With respect to transportation, how much has that budget now ballooned? Is it over $30 million yet?
The transportation budget for the current fiscal year is $36 million.
Okay. And have you done an analysis yet as to if, let's say, a school was closed or consolidated, what that savings would equate to?
We have not yet done that. That will actually be part of the process. We're essentially looking for an outside organization to conduct an analysis, and that would be one of the questions. I will say about half of that transportation budget is door-to-door transportation for students who don't attend Hartford Public Schools. So that would be harder to touch through that mechanism.
Mhm.
But yes, part of the analysis in terms of school closure consolidation would include the transportation piece.
And that door-to-door transportation is special ed and those specialty vans, correct?
Correct, correct.
Oh,
Yep,
okay. All right. Thank you.
yep.
Thank you. Are there any other council members that have any questions for CFO Richard? And I also like to acknowledge Councilwoman Rosado also joining us tonight. Okay, so seeing no other questions for CFO Richard, I think Caitlin, you're off the hook now. You need to go to the board ed. Are there any questions now for Julian or Leanne regarding the presentation that Julian just gave us regarding the transfer of funds, which is what the resolution is about. So before we vote, I want to make sure that we are all clear about what the transfers is and what the fund balance, ending is after all this movement. Um, I know I also sent an email with hopefully with some sort of explanation of what this is. Hopefully we have plenty of information, but any other council member that have any questions?
Mr. Chair, I do. Do you?
Go for it.
Thank you. I'm sorry, this message. I'm on message mode. I'm sorry. Leanne, don't laugh at me. This message is for I guess it will be for Leanne and the overage and benefits. So how many have we city personnel have we had retired?
Oh, that may not be for me. Julian, are you aware of the answer for that message?
I don't know, but are you looking for the number that retired within the last year or the total
Yeah,
number of
so
retired?
from the time of the budget presentation to the time of the passage of the budget, then now with the overages, I would just like to see how many personnel we had retire, what department were they from, that caused this overage. I'm
Okay.
assuming maybe we weren't expecting for that many personnel to retire during this period of time.
I understand the question and we can I'm sure get you that kind of a list of that kind of activity. The overage and the benefits, it really has more to do with there's a couple of, first of all, the benefits section covers a lot of benefits, right? So there's the health insurance, there's the retirement benefits, retirement payouts, our liability insurance, and so the overage there is really the aggregate of all of those. One of the items budgeted in that section of the budget is our attrition factor for non-public safety. So the attrition factor is a negative number that we budget to account for anticipated or estimated vacancies during the year. And for police and fire, we actually budget the attrition right in the department. For non-police and fire, we do an aggregate attrition factor because they're smaller departments and it would be more problematic to try to split the attrition up amongst many departments, especially if we're off, right?
Gotcha.
So I was telling you that so that I could tell you this, which is if by budgeting a negative number in that section of the budget, it forces us to end the year with an aggregate savings in the other accounts within benefits just in order to make budget. And so in this last year, we had roughly $2 million of attrition built in, and we didn't achieve a full $2 million savings across the board in the others. And so some of the accounts where we tend to have a balance left over, like the health benefits, and some of the other accounts, we just didn't have sufficient benefits, we didn't have sufficient balances remaining to offset that negative amount budgeted for attrition. So it was really kind of across the board. Does that make sense? can
No,
refine.
no, it does. I was just really trying to get down to what were the costs, what was, if it was a singular cost driver or there were multiple cost drivers
Yeah,
for that deficit.
yeah.
Okay, let me go back to the budget. That was city, that was benefits. Okay. I think I'm good with that. If you could provide that information before Monday's meeting, that would be great.
The list of retirees,
Yes,
or the account of retirees.
yes. And just one follow-up question through you, Mr. Chair.
Yep.
So our projected surplus is what number?
So our current, or our projected surplus is the 870,000.
Okay, all right. Just want to make sure.
Yes.
And that's going to go back to the general fund, or is that going to be assigned to another account?
It will roll into fund balance.
Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other questions for Julian or Leanne? All right. Okay. So, and just also to be clear, there is still also, you know, I mean, that $879,000, there's this possibility that because it goes to the fund balance, that it may get, it goes to the unassigned fund balance, I assume, and then there's this, the mayor has the discretion to, eventually put a resolution to assign that amount of money to a particular, item or project or, anything in the city. So, and we see this happening every year. Now, is there any possibility that the amount that gets moved to the assigned fund balance increases from the 879?
Yeah, you want me to take this one, Julian?
Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks.
So there's multiple categories of fund balance, right? The one that we're most familiar with, everyone refers to as the rainy day fund or the unassigned portion of fund balance. So there's two other pieces of fund balance that you all have seen throughout the years, one being assigned fund balance and then the other piece being committed fund balance. So committed fund balance has to be set at the highest decision making authority at the city, which would be city council itself. And then assigned fund balance can be monies set aside from either the mayor or the finance director for specific purposes. So the way that it works when you have a use of assigned fund balance, which we did this year in the amount of $23.8 million that was on Julian's screen previously, what the reporting requirements are that you have to increase just the expenditure side of the budget. You don't increase the assets. And by doing that, it actually incurs like a deficit, right? So you have your revenue set at budget level. Now you've got expenditures set at budget level, plus the use of assigned fund balance to have this higher level of expenditures. So the way it works is at the end of this year, we're falling to the 897,000 surplus, but it's because we used 23.8 million of assigned fund balance. So if we did not use that 23.8 million, we would have had a surplus of 24.6 million. So what happens is on the other end of the scale is we can only adjust fund balance two ways. You have to either incur naturally a surplus or a loss, which will either add to or decrease the fund balance. And then it would be through the assignment of fund balance and the use of that fund balance. So now we're taking money from one category of fund balance and moving it to the unassigned category fund balance. So ultimately, our assigned fund balance will drop, but our unassigned fund balance will come up. So it's like no change on total fund balance, but there will be an increase in unassigned fund balance.
Thank
Makes
you.
sense?
Yep. No, thank you. Thank you. Just as the last statement, so we could move on. The last statement is, you could just confirm with a yes or no, but my understanding is also that although the resolution states $12.6 million for the education department, it's written as up to. So if it ends up being only 8.6 or whatever the final number it is, that's the amount that will be transferred, no more than what they need. So I just want to make clear that we're not necessarily transferred 12.6. In fact, it's very unlikely that we will transfer $12.6 million. It's more likely that we will transfer 8.6 for education or whatever the number ends up being. And as we heard from CFO Richards, that's the worst case scenario. It could actually get better. So I just want to be for the record that we are not transferring 12.6. It's only up to the amount that they need to cover their deficit. And then the remaining amount is just doesn't get touched, which actually helps the fund balance because then the money will just stay put. It won't move anywhere else. So these numbers that you saw on the spreadsheet are not the final numbers and the final number of the fund balance because it depends on how much we end up transferring. That will, obviously affect the ending balance. So that's just one statement that I want to make there, and it seems like I said it correctly based on your expressions. Okay, so good. If there are no other questions, the chair will entertain a motion.
Councilman, if I
Yeah,
can
go ahead.
add just one point to that, I would just like to clarify that Julian and I have not had any discussions with the mayor regarding assignments for fiscal 25.
Okay.
So there may be a slight change in the category, but not in the overall fund balance.
Understood. Understood. Thank you for that. If there are no other comments or questions,
Mr. Chair, I do have a question.
you do have a question. Go for it.
And this, I think more so for you, how is the resolution going to read?
Well, the resolution says, if you're asking specifically because of the possible change of the education, the resolution,
Yes.
yeah. So the resolution basically says, on that section, it basically says that resolved that the appropriation for benefits be increased by up to $12.6 million to pay for education related employee benefits and so on and so on. So the fact that it says by up to, that's the wording that allows uh, for the transfer to have a range anywhere from 0 to 12.6. And that's how and it basically says that it's to eliminate the projected Board of Education budget deficit. So anything more than to eliminate the projected board deficit is not allowed. So the resolution specific that is only to cover the deficit. So if the deficit ends up being $8 million, that's all that we could transfer.
Okay.
So I think the wording makes sense unless you feel like there should be a different wording, but I think it's
No, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure that since there's the possibility of fluctuating amounts, that there is some type of cap. But when
yeah.
you use the word up to, that imposes a cap that it will not exceed that amount.
And it also specify the purpose. It's to only cover the deficit. So
Yeah.
there's no other alternative here. So I
Yes.
think that's pretty good. Seeing that there are no other questions, the chair will entertain a motion for this resolution.
I'll make a motion for favorable recommendation. Back to council.
Second.
Okay, a motion has been made. Motion has been made to send this back with a favorable recommendation and properly second. Are there any comments? Seeing no comments, those in favor of sending this back to council with a favorable recommendation, say aye.
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 Aye. Anyone against it? Nobody abstaining. Okay, so the ayes have it. So for the record, this resolution 2.1 will be sent back to council with a favorable recommendation. Okay. Now moving on to item 2.2, and I apologize to Tally Neves. I normally would have done your item first, and as I explained to you offline, we had some time constraints that we needed to kind of make sure that we work out the schedule with the CFO Richards, as she had to be somewhere else. So thank you for holding tight there, for listening all these numbers, all this stuff. But now we're focusing on you. I'm going to read the resolution and then we'll open the floor. Okay. So item 2.2, Mayor Arolan with accompanying resolution confirming the appointment of Talia Neves to the City of Hartford Ethics Commission. So first of all, thank you for volunteering, your time to be part of the Ethics Commission. So the way that we're going to do this is that I'm going to open up the floor for you to talk to us about yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself. What your experience is with something related to Ethics Commission, why you're interested in that particular commission, a little bit of your background. I mean, we do have your resume. We do have, the information from you. Just talk to us about yourself, and then I'll open the floor for any colleagues to make any comments or ask you any questions.
Yeah.
So the floor is yours.
Okay. Well, first of all, I want to thank this entire council for the opportunity to meet you all, to be at this meeting today. I wanted to give a special shout out to Christian Corzo, who I've been in contact for the past couple of months, and also the Ethics Committee to allow me to shadow them and have the opportunity to meet with them. So I'm super passionate about ethics. I absolutely love ethics, ethical dilemmas, ethical topics, and discussion around ethics. I truly believe that in order to serve your community, you need to be a part of it. And engagement really starts around the core of ethics, making decisions that are really challenging and difficult, but they are the right thing. I am a firm believer not only in serving your community, but being on the front lines of it, which goes a lot into who I am and what I do every day. I'm a registered nurse. I have a strong background in ethics. I've served on several ethical boards, ethics boards and committees across several healthcare organizations and within several communities. I also, in the 2026 guest speaker at the National Ethics Conference in UCLA this year. I've been attending for the past 3 years. I very engaged in the community. I live obviously in the city of Hartford, and I'm really excited to be here. So thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll open up the floor for any of my council colleagues to make any comments or ask any questions to Ms. Neves. Any questions, any comments for Ms. Neves?
To you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, Assistant Majority Leader Clark.
Good evening. Thank you for your willingness to be a part of the Ethics Commission. Quick question for you. Have you served on any other city board or commission?
I have not, no.
Oh, so this is your first one. Okay. All right. Well,
Yeah.
congratulations to you. I wish you the best. And it is going to be a huge task and commitment to be on this commission, but the mayor would not have recommended you if he didn't think that you would be up for the task. So whatever you need from us, please don't hesitate to reach out. And thank you for your willingness to serve the City of Hartford residents.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Any other comments? Councilman Thomas?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I just wanted to say thank you to you. I was reading over your resume, and I saw that you had, I'm sorry, the Board of Education meetings playing in the background. But just saw that you had, you were in the Ethics Commission in Baltimore, at a hospital in Baltimore. So I just wanted to say it's really cool that you come with some experience in regard to ethics and doing the work that you're getting ready to do. And I believe the Ethics Commission, every single member is appointed by the mayor. And so just wanted to say this, echoing Councilman Clark's comments that you being recommended from the mayor. That's a good thing, and I'm looking forward to seeing the work that you do. And thank you for volunteering for the city. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And what wasn't in my resume actually, I wanted to include was I had been a part of several ethics boards, actually as a new graduate nurse and throughout my nursing that I did at Johns Hopkins. That's really where my passion for ethics started. I was a pediatric abuse and neglect nurse, and then that just really transpired into wanting to get more involved with city public health, city populations, city engagements because I really do believe that some of our most vital populations live within the inner city population. So I am super excited. Thank you.
Thank you. The city is lucky to have you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other council person with any comments or question? No? Okay, seeing none, the chair will entertain a motion to send this back to council.
Motion for favorable recommendation back to council.
Second.
Okay, motion has been made to send this back with a favorable recommendation and properly second. Any comments? Those in favor of sending this back with a favorable recommendation to council, say aye.
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 Is there anyone against it? Say no. Abstaining? Okay. So thank you, Ms. Neves. The motion has been made to send this back with a favorable recommendation. So this will be taken up. It will be taken up actually this coming Monday at the council meeting, and that will be pretty much a final step before you actually get an official letter of being a member of the Ethics Commission.
Thank you so much.
So thank you very much. And now we're going to move on to our last item on the agenda. And for the author of the resolution, is asking for this item to be postponed. So the chair will entertain a motion to postpone item 2.3, which actually I need to read. My apologies. 2.3, Councilwoman Manny Rosado, Councilman John Gale, Councilman Josh Micton, resolution of the Hartford Court of Common Council for reviewing and amending handicap parking policies and meter charges in collaboration with the Hartford Parking Authority and Disability Rights Organization. Does
So move to postpone.
Okay.
Second.
All right. Motion has been made to postpone this item and properly second. Any comments? Those in favor of postponing this item until our next meeting, say aye.
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 All right. The ayes have it. This item will be postponed and will show up on the agenda on the next OMBGA committee meeting. And this concludes our agenda for tonight. So thank you everyone for showing up tonight. I appreciate your time. Thank you very much. I'll see you guys next time.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Have a good night.
Bye, you too.